1 in 5 people experience a mental health issue.
Did you know that more than 8 lakh people die by suicide every year? That's almost 1% every 40 seconds.
By 2030, the biggest mental health risk on earth will be depression. Good mental health is very important. If we understand what is mental health, what triggers mental health issues, and how do we respond or cope with it, then we are more likely to face the day-to-day challenges positively. This World Mental Health Day, we will be covering the following topics, starting with what is mental health, understanding the mental health continuum, identifying the early signs of depression, internal and external factors that lead to mental health issues, #findyourlight, coping with mental health issues, finding support, the first step to maintaining good mental health, and 21 days of conscious living for maintaining daily mental hygiene. We have produced a self-reflection workbook that contains much of the information you will hear, as well as exercises that will help you to do some self-reflection and learning.
Greetings to all. Hope all of you are doing great. Let me begin by asking a question to you. What is it that pops in your mind when you hear the term mental health? Do you connect it with anxiety, depression, or suicide? Well, I'm not surprised if you did, because that is the most common understanding of mental health. But let me tell you, mental health is much more than these. Mental health is the foundation to all aspects of human behavior. Let that be physical, social, emotional, intellectual, financial, or even spiritual. Mental health makes up for everything that runs through your mind. That is your feelings, emotions, or even the way you behave. It has the potential to manage life's good and bad times and helps us to live a productive life. The state of our mental health affects how we cope up with stress, anxiety, depression, overcome challenges, and even recover from life's hardships. In fact, everything in our life is related to mental health. The quality of mental health exists on a continuum. Continuum is a range that helps us understand the difference between poor mental health and good mental health. I would now request you to refer to the self-reflection workbook and assess where you stand on this continuum while I explain the categories. The continuum has 4 categories. The first category is healthy and is highlighted in green. This is good mental health and normal functioning. The next category is reacting and is highlighted in yellow. This is where you will find common mild reversible distress, just like when you are having those bad days. The next category highlighted in orange is poor mental health or injured. This category is where you will experience more significant and persistent functional disability. The final category highlighted in red is mental illness. This is when one may have a clinical disorder, severe or persistent functional disability, and may require medical support or therapy. Poor mental health can happen to anyone, irrespective of age, culture, education, or income. Where we stand on this continuum is not fixed, and it may keep on changing, and this is normal.
mental health affects us not just mentally, but also physically and emotionally. It impacts our feelings, thinking, behavior, and physical habits like changes in appetite or sleep patterns being the most common signs. Some of the preventive measures that we can take is to identify these early signs and follow a routine that helps us maintain good mental health. We have listed some of the common symptoms of poor mental health in the self-reflection workbook. Remember, do not confuse these with those everyday feelings or temporary experiences of feeling sad or maybe anxious which last for a day or two. The early signs of depression are prolonged experiences of these symptoms, that is, having these feelings for about 2 weeks or more. Let us now understand the internal and external factors or stressors that may lead you towards poor mental health. You can now get back to your self-reflection workbook and list down all the internal and external factors that cause stress to you. These could be triggers that eventually lead you into the orange or red zone. Once you have listed them down, I would like you to introspect which of these factors can you do something about and which ones do you have to accept. Based on one's personality, mood, and energy, each person will have their own individual set of triggers and will react differently to a similar situation. As quoted by psychologist Dr. Lauren Fogel-Mercy, being able to be your true self is one of the strongest components of good mental health. All stress, anxiety, depression is caused when we ignore who we are and start living to please others. To maintain well-being, it is important that we recognize our own inner strengths. So here's introducing #findyourlight, a section where we'd like to bring to you stories of common men and women who found a strength that keeps them going. Hope this inspires you to find yours.
Getting tapped into the fence. I'll never let you down again. I'm back. I promise to never go back on that promise. Fast as you know, it's the best. And I'm sure you was there forever. Time when the man is in the world. Relax, I ain't going back to that now.
जिंदगी गले लगा ले, हमने भी तेरे हर एक गम को गले से लगाया है ना?
क्या पता हमने है कहानियाँ हैं, कहानी में हम पम पारारारारम।
So how does one cope, maintain and sustain good mental health? And it all starts from the childhood. What's the bonding that the parents share with the children or the grandparents share with the children? What's the wisdom bridge between the children, the parents, the grandparents and the extended family around them? How does one sustain and nourish from the childhood onwards? As per statistics, half of all mental health problems can be diagnosed at the age of 14 and more than 3/4 by the age of 24. So So, which is a strong testament to the fact that children need to be well nourished, well looked after, not just physically, but also mentally. So there are 4 categories which we have when it comes to a self-care or a professionally cared support system. The first one is the green category, which is the normal category where people are sleeping well, they're having a very good and positive outlook towards life, a positive mindset, and the only self-care that they need to do is to just ensure that they continue and sustain what they're doing. The second one, which is the yellow category, is where one is a little prone to anger or probably some reactive modes, and at times loses harmony and balance, work and life balance. And this can be due to various circumstances, environmental circumstances, which can be corrected either through self-care or through a small set of close friends and family members, because this is normally set out to the environment, and this can again come back to the green position quite quickly. The third category is the orange category, where here is where there's a little more permanency in terms of the reactive modes, in terms of the sleep patterns, panic attacks, anxiety, tending to be a little more on the depressive mode, the lower side, etc. And this is where one begins to need professional help to understand what exactly are the reasons and how can one move from orange to at least yellow and then slowly back to green. The fourth category is red, which is one is prone to suicidal thoughts, heavy manic depressive attacks, bipolar and various other situations, which really requires very strong professional therapy, healing, and something to pull them back from where they are to the current orange, yellow, green state. And this continuum is extremely important for each of us to understand. So the first step to maintain good mental health is to make a commitment to ourselves that this is going to be my priority. So I'm going to suggest each of you to take your pen and paper and write down, I commit to make my mental health my first priority.
My mental health is my 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 priority.